watches and know what time it is because we live in an economy that's all about organizing and maximizing and synchronizing people. That 200 years ago, nobody had a watch. 200 years ago, nobody knew what time it was. There weren't even 200 years ago. Something fundamental shifted in the world. We went from a world where everyone was an independent actor to a world where everything was synchronized, to a world where what was built was a system to sell stuff from our factories. And what I want to do in the time I have with you today is this. I want to sell you very hard on a different way of looking at the world. I want you to see the internet not as a replacement for television, not as a new way to do free advertising, not as a fun alternative to put your company's message in front of people on Facebook and everywhere else. And the only way I'm going to be an impact with you is if you understand that the stress you might be feeling, or the pain you're feeling, or the lack of result you're getting from this internet world is due between what really is and what you're expecting. Because most people in the IAB, most of the people who have spent money to market online are expecting that it will work like it used to work. And it's not. And we keep getting surprised. We're constantly surprised. What do you mean Twitter grew as big as it is? They didn't have any money. What do you mean big companies go online and no one visits their website? What do you mean we send out an email and no one writes back? What I want to sell you on is a giant distinction between what's next and what's now. The thing is, what's now is what's going to be for a long time. That the next big thing on the internet is here already. Let me explain the difference. What marketers want is more. More attention, more distribution, more sales, more customers, more people buying stuff so they can make more money. And so the mindset is what fueled television and radio and billboards and all the sponsors' names you see here on the side. More says that what I have to do as a marketer is interrupt whoever I can, whenever I can. That the mindset of interruption is built deep into what it means to be in the marketing business. And the challenge here is this. Until 15 years ago, interrupting people in Europe, United States, anywhere, was easy. You interrupted them where you had money. If you have money, you can interrupt with a radio ad, a TV ad, a magazine ad, a billboard. This led to a mindset. Look, there are two ways to get married. The first way to get married is to go to a singles bar. Walk up to the first person you meet and propose marriage. If that person won't marry you, repeat the process on every person in the singles bar until someone says, I do. A dumb way to get married. There's an alternative, though. The alternative is to go on a date. Then go on another date with that person. Wait till the third date before you tell them you're out on parole, right? And then you meet their parents, they meet your parents, you get engaged, you get married. So why aren't you dating your prospects? You're not dating your prospects because the mindset of a marketer is to spam more people. That if your company makes something, if you have a factory of some sort, if you have a service with lots and lots of people on the phone or typing to keep things busy, you, the marketer, are as many people as you can. And when the internet came along, it looked like a dream come true. Because the internet says to marketers, here, it's free. Interrupt whoever you want. And you know what happened? You already know what happened. What happens? You, the consumer, don't listen. How many of you clicked on a banner ad the last time you surfed on the internet? Raise your hand. Nobody. Nobody is raising their hand except that yacht's at the end of the third row there. Right? But everybody else says, why would I click on a banner ad? Why would I interrupt what I'm doing over here to go do something over there just because a marketer paid money for it? So this mindset that says, I'm a marketer, I can interrupt whoever I want, is only happening because that's what we're used to. Let me give you another example that isn't from your industry. 20 years ago, the music business was one of the best legal businesses in the world. That the people in the music industry, the people who made records, LPs, were making a fortune. An LP is perfect. If you like it and you listen to it a lot, it wears out, gotta buy another one. If I loan it to you, I don't have it anymore. I gotta buy another one. Radio, for free, they're playing music that the radio station and the record company are trying to sell me. If I turn on the television, MTV is showing me videos about buying the music. So it was great business. And then the internet came, and now more people are listening to more music than ever before. But the music industry is dead. The music industry, the industry based on scarcity and promotion and payola, dead. So what did the music industry do? They saw that more people are listening to more music than ever before. They sued you. They sued me. They sued the customer. Going to work? No. What would have worked is understanding that the model isn't how do I preserve what I've got, but that the opportunity is to make the new thing that fits the medium. So let's talk a little bit about Henry Ford for a second. He changed Poland, he changed Europe, he changed the States. And the way he changed the world, it used to cost $3,000 and figured out how to make it for $700 US. He took a factory worker who used to make 50 cents a day and figured out how to pay him $5 a day. He built something called the Ford system. And the Ford system says, you have a job, you're on a work chart, you have a title, there's interchangeable parts, there's mass production, and yes, there's interchangeable people. And what we do is we build this system, right? You have a boss, your boss has a boss does what they're told, and at the end of the day, there's money left. And Henry Ford's big problem was he didn't have enough workers. He didn't have enough people willing to sit still and do what they were told all day long. So Henry Ford and some other people pushed this up of school, the very school you went to. School is organized to train people to fit in. School is organized to train you to be obedient. School is organized to train you not to be creative, but to follow instructions. Why? So that after you go to school and you get out of school, you can get a job. And at that job, you will fit in. And the reason they want you to fit in is so they can ignore you. And then the internet comes along and there's this collision. And the collision is, we've got a factory model over here. How do I own the customer? How do I get to my site? How do I suck them in? How do I steal their data so I can harass them later? And over here, we have the noise being made by independent, creative, selfish people who don't want to hear from you. And so here's the challenge going forward. Don't ask, how can I get YouTube to help me sell more stuff? Don't ask, how can I get more people to follow my company on Twitter? Don't ask, how can I get more fans on Facebook? These are the wrong questions. The reason they're the wrong questions is you're asking them because you want average stuff to average people. You're mass marketers. As mass marketers, you're saying to the consultants, to the guys who promise you SEO results, or websites, or social media consulting, you're saying to them, do what I say, here's some money, I want to make more money in return. And what I'm saying is, there is a revolution here, right now. It is the revolution of our time. The first big revolution since Henry Ford. And I am begging you not to waste it. And the way you will avoid wasting it is by understanding that the opportunity here is not about yelling at people. It's about leading people. Ideas that spread win. The market for something to believe in is infinite. If you can make something that people believe in, if you can lead, we will follow you. We are in a hurry to follow you. We are desperate for someone to follow. That's what we're waiting for you to do. It used to, that what you did was you targeted people. You found people and aimed messages at them. Now what you need to do is work with the tribe. Connect, lead groups of people who talk about you because they want to, not because you're paying money. That this idea of leadership, it starts in nonprofit worlds, people like Jacqueline Novogratz or Muhammad Yunus, people who are finding individuals in the world who want to make a difference, and they lead them. But there's the work tribe. There's all those people that you work with. There are the people at this conference on your left and on your right. You have a lot in common with them. They're waiting for someone in Poland to lead them. There's your community tribe. People on your block, the people in the neighborhood. They're eager to be connected. There is the spiritual tribe, the place where people... These tribes have been around for a really long time. But then there's the tribe of the red hat ladies all around the world, ladies of a certain age. There is the tribe of the triathletes who put on wetsuits and swim and run enormous distances. There is the tribe of year-old girls who want to talk to one another about one. They're waiting for you to stand up and lead them. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say you want to go into the sock business. Now, the thing about socks is they only have two functions. They keep your feet from smelling and they help you avoid blisters, right? You can get socks made for you in any factory. There are factories in Poland, there are factories in Latvia, there's factories in China. They'll make you socks for 10 cents a pair. And if you make average socks for average people, you will have to yell a lot to get the world to notice your socks. And then you'll probably lower the price of your socks. And your socks will become yet another commodity. But what if you realize socks don't have to be socks? Socks could be a label, a badge, a way of connecting that socks could in fact be remarkable, something to talk about. So here's what a little company near my house did. 6 years ago, they started this company. And they said, you know what? 12-year-old girls have a sock problem. What's their problem? They don't have enough to talk about. Girls who are into fashion, who are into clothing, can't possibly find enough to talk about because they can't have a new outfit every day. So Little Mismatch started making socks in 133 styles, and none of them match. What does that mean? It means for $10 US, a girl can go to school and say to the other girls, forgive me, the last time I did this I fell down, I'll try not to. Say to the other girls, 1, 2, you want to see my socks? Fun to talk about, right? My socks. So you know what the other 12-year-old girls do? They go home and they say to their mom, I need new socks. And that's the strategy of Little Mismatch. Wanted my socks. So by creating a pair of socks that people want to talk about, you're either an insider or an outsider, right? You're either the kind of person who wants to talk about their socks, or you're not. You're either a cool kid or not a cool kid. You ready for this? When they started, they had $1 million in revenue their first year. This year, $40 million. Because the thing is, competence is no longer scarce. I can find competent people to program for me in Eastern Europe. I can find competent tailors to make a suit in Mexico. Competent is cheap. Competent is common. If all you are is competent, you will fail because all factories will die. There's a race to the bottom. And if you are racing to the bottom, I am cheaper than the other guy, pick me, why will you win that race? Why would you want to win that race? That the race to the bottom is the one you want to win. So what I'm begging you to do is, when you talk to your boss tomorrow, what you learn at the big conference, The message is not that you learned how to run a better banner ad or how to get more followers on Facebook. The message is we have a choice. We can be more obedient as a company. We can be more mad as a company. Or we can be more graceful. And it's really unusual and weird to be sitting here in Poland talking about the internet in one breath and graceful in another. That's what's on the table. This idea of being graceful. Graceful means believing and seeing and connecting and giving and living, supporting, and telling the truth. These are the things you look for when you buy something. These are the things you look for, and yet your company isn't eager to do it. And yet your consulting firm isn't busy doing it. That what big companies tend to do is the opposite. Believe, they don't see, they don't connect, they don't give, they take, they fib, they spin. What we're looking for are companies, organizations, brands that accept people. They do work that matters. You know, it's impossible to give a talk like this these days without talking about Apple Computer. How did Apple Computer become the most valuable technology company in the world? How did Apple Computer do it on the back of several products, all of which have easy replacements? And you buy an iPhone in the United States, or even when you buy an iPad, what is it exactly that you're buying? It seems to me that what you're buying is a badge, a piece of jewelry that happens to do a function. That when you start talking on it, you're not saying this is a great phone. It's a lousy phone. What you're saying is, I'm in this tribe. I am part of this. And this object that I hold in my hand is part of my statement. It's about compliance versus connected. If you want the people on the internet to do what you say, then leave. Because they have choices. And if you try to trick them or trap them, they will leave. North Korea, the country, is filled with compliant people. Might be the most compliant country in history. They're failing because compliance doesn't work like it used to. So let me help you think about where this can take you. The first time, you probably follow the rest, and it comes out as a pretty good cake. The second time you bake a cake, you've had some practice, so it comes out as a better cake. The real question is, what happens the third time you bake a cake? The third time you bake a cake, you might do one of two things. You might make it exactly the way the recipe says, or you might improvise. You might add some extra ingredients, play with some food coloring, change the amount of time you cook it. And if you fool around with the recipe, it will probably fail. That thing you make will probably not be as good. After that, most people go back to following the recipe for the rest of their lives. But a few people fool around again. Try again until they are making a great cake, an astonishing cake, a cake people will cross the street to buy. That's the choice. I don't know if you have CMOs in Poland the way we do here. CMO stands for Chief Marketing Officer. The Chief Marketing Officer in companies in the United States tends to last not very long. The Chief Marketing Officer doesn't do a very good job because they think they're in charge of marketing. They're not. They're the Chief Movement Officer. Their job is to create a movement. And movements are not made by people who follow the recipe. Movements are created by people who lead. The internet is a connection machine. That's why it exists. That's why they built it. The internet was not developed to help you guys sell more stuff. That's not its function. The function of the internet is to connect people to other people. Make a list of what works on the internet. Email, chat, Facebook, Twitter, eBay. These are connection devices. And connections demand leadership. So boring and bureaucratic will not work. Why would I follow you if you are a boring leader? No one says, I'm going to stop doing this and start doing that because he's really boring. So what the internet is demanding, I'm just speaking up on his behalf, is that you become a genius. Not an Albert Einstein, white hair, and reinvent the rules, but a small g genius. A human being who solves interesting problems. A person who brings art to the table, to the situation, to make a difference. All of you now work without a boss. Some of you have a boss who makes sure you come to work every day, but she's not really your boss. The reason she's not really your boss is that you are setting your agenda. In the world of the internet, you are deciding to open this window or open that. You are deciding what to say next, what to type next, what to do next. Riffing. So if your boss isn't setting your agenda, who is? Agenda about mediocre obedience, because that's what you learned in school. Are you sitting there wringing your hands and saying, well, this works fine in California or fine in New York, but not in Poland? He doesn't understand Poland. In Poland, all we have is mediocre obedience. Because if you set out to try something else, I don't know, Villa, curiosity, you might discover something else. Relentless curiosity can change things. That's the opportunity that I'm trying to sell you on. Relentless curiosity. Okay, I want to tell you about a village. Dauphin paints 1/3 of all the oil paintings painted in the world. It's a Chinese factory town, just like these factory towns. And what we see there is that there are people who get up every single morning and paint. And they paint and they paint and they paint until the end of the day. You can buy the Mona Lisa in Dauphin for $29. It's a Mona Lisa. Not a particularly good Mona Lisa. So what we see in Dauphin are people doing something with a paintbrush, but they're not art. Art is not painting. Art is being a human being. And it doesn't matter if you're a human being in Poland or a human being in Nebraska. It's the act of your purpose. It's interacting with other people, online or off, in a way that they remember. Art involves courage and fear and curiosity. Art involves giving a gift that was unexpected in a way that people remember. There's a coffee shop in London, Proof Rock. They will give you one of those little cards, a frequent buyer, where you can get the little punch out. If you get 8 punches, you get a free cup of coffee. You've probably seen something like that. The difference at Proof Rock is this. You don't get the punches from him. You have to go to his 8 competitors, the 8 most artistic coffee shops in London. He doesn't own them. There is competition. If you get punched and all the way to them, then he'll give you a free cup of coffee. Why would he do that? Why would he be so generous? Do you think he called up the other places and said, I've got this great idea, let's do it together? No, he just did it because he's an artist. Artists are generous. Artists say, I can give this to you because I have it. And if I give it to you, I'll still have the idea, but now you'll have the idea too. Ideas that spread win. And so, the challenge here is to go from the system saying, don't worry, do what I say, which is what your boss wants you to do, which is what the system is built around, and say, wait a minute. This is a revolution. The internet is destroying one industry after another. That the music people thought they were safe, and the travel agents thought they were safe, and the big airlines thought they were safe, and the politicians thought they were safe. And one industry after another, what's happening is they're not safe. So it's not a moment to do physical labor, right? Physical labor, the act of digging a ditch, paving a road. Physical labor wears you out. Physical labor is tiring and exhausting and physical, and it's only worth I don't know, 6 an hour. I'm talking about emotional labor. Emotional labor is when your company is organized to do work it doesn't feel like. Emotional labor is when you can someone even when you don't have to. Emotional labor is when you're on an airplane and you're queasy and there's turbulence. Flight attendant comes over and looks you in the eye and spends it and calms you down. She might be having a bad day. She might be really busy. At that moment, she is communicating with you. In that moment, she is connected. That's the thing you're going to remember from that flight. Not that it took off, not that it landed, not that it was on time. Those are given. Those are competence issues. What you're going to remember is that a human being connected with you. So there's so many examples I can give you of how companies are growing by doing this. If we look in the United States, here we call it Threadless in Chicago. Said lots of people print T-shirts. Printing T-shirts is easy. What if we make a tribe of people who are into T-shirts? So if you go to threadless.com, what you'll see is you can upload an image that you want printed on a T-shirt. And then you can get your friends to vote on it. And if your image gets the most, Threadless pays you $1,000. By the way, if you see a T-shirt you like, you can buy it. Just using this connection strategy. Going from being in the T-shirt business to the tribe leadership business of people who love art. Threadless has grown to be $40 million in revenue. Seems like a magic number, $40 million. Or consider Groupon. Groupon says, you know what? Did I mention Groupon is the fastest growing company in the history of the world? Groupon said, you know what? Coupons are fine. But what if we create an engine where when you get a coupon, it doesn't work unless you invite a bunch of your friends to share the coupon with you. Now conversations are going on about what the coupon's about. When should we use the coupon? Should we go use the coupon together? And so Groupon grows. In Chicago alone, Groupon has 800,000 users. This mindset that people are at the heart of it is what we need, what we must have, is indispensable human beings. People like you, who know enough, who are original, who are thinkers, who are provocative, who care. What we need is for you to go back to the office and stop putting out RFPs for social media strategies. We need you to stand up. We need you to lead. We need you to risk making a human connection. We need you to find people to work with who are willing to be shunned, willing to be criticized, willing to stand out if it's necessary to lead and to want to hear from you or not how many dollars you did last year. How many people would miss you if you were gone? 20 years ago, that was an insane question to ask a company. 20 years ago, if I went to a company and made sausage, and I said, how many of your customers would miss you if we're gone? It would be not bloody many, because there's other sausage on the shelf. And if all you're trying to do is get a little bit more of your product on the shelf, I can't help you. The internet can help you. But if you're keeping track of how many people would miss you, what you discover is you don't need another sausage maker. What you need is a linchpin. Someone who can bring all of this together and make a difference. Someone who's an artist willing to be shunned. Art is the intentional act of using our humanity. Art is about working hard to create change in another person. How tight is your that group you lead? Do they know each other? A couple thoughts as we go on. The first one is the most common thing people say after I talk with them is, my boss won't let me. I'd love to do all this, but my boss won't let me. Well, here's the thing. Of course, he won't let you. Of course she won't let you. Because what you're saying to your boss is, I want to do all this stuff. I want to do all this artistic stuff. And if it fails, it'll be your fault, okay? Because you said, but if I succeed, I'm going to take the credit because I'm a genius. Why on earth would your boss say yes to that? That what we find is that if you take responsibility, people will give it to you. If you demand authority, no one will give it to you. Deniability is a real issue. Deniability of being able to blame it on problem. That what you need to do to be a linchpin, to be the one who connects and to leads, the one who makes a difference. Endless emergency of trying to fit in. You can never fit in enough if your goal is to fit in. Here's the way the world sees Poland when it comes time to buy stuff. We don't. The products that are coming from Poland don't blow us away. Oh my God, I couldn't live without it. No, it's just really good. And the challenge you have with really good is fitting in doesn't help you. The challenge with really good is saying, well, this is a little cheaper. Well, it's a little more convenient. I'm not going to buy it because I can buy something even cheaper than you, more convenient than you. The goal is to stand out. Why it's hard. It's hard. It's almost impossible, in fact. Because right here in the back of your head, you have a prehistoric brain. The same brain the lizard has, the same chicken has, the same brain the lion has. Psychologists call it the lizard brain. The lizard brain is what makes wild animals wild. The lizard brain is the one that's sitting there. I can see it working right now. Right there, in that young woman in the third row. See it. The lizard brain is saying, no. That works for them, but it doesn't work for me. I'll do it later when the economy is better. It's too early. My boss won't let me. I can think of 6 other reasons why I can't do art. Steve Pressfield gives the lizard a name. He calls its voice the resistance. The resistance is telling you not to try. The resistance is saying, don't raise your hand because you might get in trouble. The resistance is wrong. The fact is our lizards are wrong. They're tricked. More people are killed in Poland by deer than by sharks. Deer jumping across the road, deer hitting cars, deer spreading disease, kill far more Poles than sharks. And yet, when we go to see a horror movie with a shark in it, we don't go, wait, that's not a deer. Because the lizard brain is wired to be afraid of things with big teeth, not to be afraid of fuzzy little animals. So when you are thinking of these ideas, when you are pushing yourself, and you hear the voice of the resistance in the back of your head, what you have to understand is that's the reason you're stuck. That voice of reason is the one that's killing you. I need to tell you a story that I hope will resonate with you as I start to wrap this up. There's a little airport near my house, and sometimes I take it to fly to Boston. And it's a mistake when I fly because I should have driven. And it's a mistake when I drive because I should have flown. There's no wind there. So I flew to Boston. Flight was great. I flew home back to the little airport, 8 o'clock at night. We circled the airport for an hour till we ran out of fuel. And then we landed in this little horrible town called Albany, New York. And we got there at 10:30 at night. The airport was closed. They say, we're going to be on the ground here for 2 or 3 hours, and then maybe we'll be able to fly back to the airport, which is fogged in. Well, it's only a 2-hour drive from Albany to the White Plains Airport. So I know I could drive there faster than the plane would get there. So I open my laptop, go online, just Avis Rent-A-Car has one car. I book it. Then I stand up as I'm getting off the plane, and I say to everybody on the plane, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wearing a suit and tie. I must be a good guy. My car is at the White Plains Airport, so is yours. Who wants a free ride? I've got 3 empty seats in the car. I already paid for the car. I already paid for the gas. If you want to come with me and keep me company, I'd love to have you. And do you know what those 18 people on the plane did? Nothing. Not one person volunteered to go with me. As far as I know, they're still stuck on the plane. And the reason is because if they had raised their hand and gotten off the plane, it would have been their fault if something happened. But if they stay on the plane, it's the airline's fault. If they stay on the plane, they have deniability. They can blame someone else. So here's the challenge. David Rakoff wrote a book. And in the book, he was describing a theater like the one you're sitting in. And he's sitting in the movie theater. He's the only person in the theater. And just before the movie starts, a woman walks in right up to him. I'm sorry, is this seat taken? And he's looking around like, what are you, nuts? And then he got to thinking about what her real question was, right? He got to thinking about, what does it mean, is this seat taken? Here's the thing. This is a revolutionary moment in Poland. The biggest one since Solidarity. In the moment, everything is going to change. There is a revolution. It's before the internet or after the internet. You have the key job. You are in the right place at the right time. You are smart. You got a steady income. You have a product that might be worth talking about. And one day soon, someone's going to point to the place you're sitting, to the job you've been assigned. And they're going to say, excuse me, is this seat taken? And my hope is that you will motivate yourself and find that genius inside of you so you can look at them and say, yeah, it's taken. I did my art. I did the thing I could do because I was here during the revolution. So much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you.